I think the important thing when one reads Tolkien's works is not to let this pretty fairy tale lead one into accepting the basically reactionary doctrine that lies underneath it all. I mean, conservatism is quite all right when it's based on something, but his sort of conservatism, that is the West, Numenor, the dwarves, elves, etc., is based on absolutely nothing at all. I mean, you can't escape into the world, because into the Middle-earth, because he's very cleverly incorporated the features of our world that he most dislikes in it. I mean, if you're looking in Tolkien for a sort of pastoral paradise, you won't find it, because all the time there's this menace of Sauron lurking in the east, represented as ugly, dark, black, toiling, living in holes in the mountains. Well, these people are obviously the proletarian masses trying to achieve a revolution in a basically feudal society.
No, I don't at all like Tolkien or what he stands for. It seems to me that his work implies an escape from political and social reality. Now, this seems to me is reprehensible. It's an implication of triviality, it's an implication of regression, a refusal to face up to our political and social problems, our religious problems of today. And the cult of The Hobbit, the cult of Tolkien in America particularly, seems to be responding to this sort of failure in engagement with our political and social situation.
The trouble is, of course, they make it sound like an intellectualized Dr. Dolittle. And no doubt before very long we'll have Lord of the Rings on ice with Millicent Martin and Margaret Rutherford. But it will become a cult, as it is a cult in America now, where the constant symbol is seen, Frodo lives.
I don't live in America. Surely they should tell me. I should like to ask them some questions of how such things arise. I observe in general that North America has always been much more easily kindled than England, or indeed any country in Europe. And for instance, the Dickens cult and the extraordinary excitement about Dickens, so the only people who came down to the quay to watch the mail ship coming, the only thing they wanted to know is what happened to the next chapter. They weren't worried about goods.
It gives you a nice sort of in-feeling to meet another Tolkien enthusiast who will know when you make references to things in the story, as though you're referring to history.
As we do in Spec Fickle.
Exactly, yes. The obscurer the reference, the better you feel when somebody else gets it.
The vast numbers I can judge from my very considerable fan mail, I should say that only a small proportion I possess, and even of those, not very many have really read the books with any attention.
Well, I, of course, haven't actually read Tolkien, but I think it's marvellous. As if I go to a cocktail party or something like this, and have spent 20 intensely boring minutes talking to a secretary about her father's foot and mouth on the farm. I then ask her, have you read Tolkien? And they always have. And they give you the plot for the next half hour.
And they eventually get to the land of Mordor, Sauron's country, carrying the ring.
I think perhaps when he started off writing Lord of the Rings, as he is a philologist and an academic, he was most interested in the language. But the world that he created to hold the language took him over.
I first began seriously to invent languages about when I was 13 or 14. I've never stopped, really. Languages have a flavour to me, which I never understand people saying, for instance, it was awfully dry and dull, because a new language to me is just like taking a new wine or a new sweetmeat or something. What I'm doing now is to try and write in Elvish, because my writing is very inferior to the Elv. Their standard greeting when meeting, a star shines upon our meeting. Oh, God. I made a mistake, never mind. No, wait. And that stands for Ellen, Sila, Lumen aumenti elvo. It's a rather beautiful language, I think.
Well, some people seem to sort of take a delight in being able to sort of think in Elvish, which seems a little odd.
No. I wouldn't mind other people knowing it and enjoying it, but I didn't really want to like some people who've been equally inventive in language have done, sort of make cults and have people all speaking it together. No, I don't desire to go and have afternoons talking Elvish to chaps. One thing, of course, Elvish is too complicated. I've never finished making it.
And they travel on in this sort of dark, horrible place.
It's impossible to give the story, any story that's worthwhile in a couple of sentences.
And they eventually come to Mount Doom.
I suppose that it's escapist in a way.
Well, it is meant to be escapist, because I use escapism in its proper sense. It was a man getting out of prison.
I don't think one has to say it's an allegory.
People do not fully understand the difference between an allegory and an application. You can go to a Shakespeare play and you can apply it to things in your mind, if you like, but they're not allegories. At least most of them are not. There's more allegorical elements, for instance, in the Tempest than in most, but certainly, I mean, many people apply to nuclear, the ring, to particularly the nuclear bomb, don't they? I think that was in my mind, the whole thing is only an allegory of it. Well, it isn't.
No other book has frightened me quite as much as that. I've never had such an intense sense of evil.
One reviewer once said, this is a jolly, jolly book, isn't it? All the right boys come home and they're always happy and glad. It isn't true, of course. He can't have read the story.
3 rings for the elven kings under the sky, 7 for the dwarf lords in their halls of stone, 9 for mortal men doomed to die, 1 for the Dark Lord on his dark throne, in the land of Mordor where the shadows lie. 1 ring...
Ashnazga Gimbatul, Ashnazga Thrakatuluk, Ach Burzumishek.
To rule them all, 1 ring to find them, 1 ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them, in the land of Mordor where the shadows lie.
I invented that in a bath, I remember. Yes, I remember inventing that in one of the baths in 29, when I was having a bath in 20 North Row. I still remember kicking the sponge out of the bath when I got the last time, thinking that will do, all right, and jumped out.
Anyway, he and Sam set off back to the Shire, where all the hobbits come from.
Tolkien uses the ordinary things that people are afraid of, and he's built up these fears into an immense evil atmosphere.
If you really come down to any large story, it interests people, can hold them attention for a considerable time, or make stories, practically always, a human story is practically always about one thing, aren't they? Death. The inevitability of death. I don't know, would you agree with that? But anyway, that is what, there was a quotation from Simon Beauvoir that I read in the paper the other day, which seems to me put it in a nutshell. I think I'll read it to him. It was apropos of the untimely death of a musical composer whom I've myself always been extremely fond, Carl Maria Weber, who died at 39 of tuberculosis. And the man who written his biography actually quotes these words of Simon: "There is no such thing as a natural death. Nothing that happens to man is ever natural, since his presence calls the whole world into question. All men must die, but for every man his death is an accident, and even if he knows it and consents to it, an unjustifiable violation." Well, you may agree with words or not, but those are the keyspring of the laws of the ring.
The third age was my age. I was the enemy of Sauron, and my work is finished. The burden must lie now upon you and your kindred. And the power of the 3 rings also is ended. And all the lands that you see, and those that lie round about them shall be dwellings of men. What weather they shall have is not ours to rule.
Faniar